Hi, friends. I'm Zach.
I'm Mitch.
And we are an excellent little podcast.
Presenting you a little movie podcast starring Zach and Mitch.
Wait, are we doing a podcast?
We are doing a podcast. We're actually doing something that isn't Disney related, finally.
Oh, my goodness.
But we're talking about Spielberg.
Hey, look at that.
Spielberg.
Oh, gosh. We love us some Spielberg. Specifically,
It's the Fabelmans.
The Fabelmans, his semi-autobiographical movie about his childhood.
Yeah. The Fabelmans.
It's a bit of a ride.
Yeah, it's a long one.
It is a long one, and this one might be a little longer for us too, but strap in, my friends. We are about to have a little bit of fun. This was made and produced by Universal and Spielberg's company Amblin. Director, as we said, is Steven Spielberg, and he also co-wrote the screenplay with
Tony Kushner.
Fan favorite of his, Tony Kushner.
I love Tony Kushner. Angels in America, West Side Story,
Schindler's List, I believe, as well. Oh, no.
Lincoln.
That's right.
Okay, so I'm going to, if I may, Zach.
Yeah.
Solid. All around. Great directing from Spielberg, of course.
That's a given.
Yeah.
But even on his worst ones, it's still
but
phenomenal
also
directing.
Great script from both him and Tony Kushner.
I thought,
in my opinion,
I thought the script was pretty good. Not the best, not the worst. It definitely does not win a best screenplay for me. I don't think it's going to get a nomination for that, whether in the award season or even in my book. But it was still a really phenomenal story. You could really see. You could really see a lot of Spielbergisms in the script, and I don't think I could entirely figure out what was fact and what was fiction, but I feel like I had a good idea of exactly what was and what wasn't.
Yeah. All right. So, thank you, IMDb, for the summary. Growing up in a post-World War II era Arizona, young Sammy Fabelman aspires to become a filmmaker as he reaches adolescence, but soon discovers a shattering family secret and explores how the power of film can help him see the truth. Once again, thank you, IMDb.
There we go.
Awesome. Now, shall I split up the episode?
Yes, you may.
Fantastic. Awesome. So you just heard our introduction. Hopefully you enjoyed it. So now we are about to enter our non-spoiler section. Zach will give his thoughts. I will give mine. We will talk about the cast and other non-spoilerly things. Then we will review the film. Zach will describe how we split it up.
Yep.
Then we will both give our review. And then we will sound an alarm because then we will enter our spoiler territory and talk about spoilerly things. Then we will go on our separate ways.
There we go.
All right. Zach, would you mind giving your first thoughts on the Fabelmans?
Yeah. So it's a little hard going to Steven Spielberg movie for me because Spielberg basically wrote my childhood and you talk about Hook, you talk about Jurassic Park, you're talking about Indiana Jones, you're talking in some ways Star Wars because there is heavy handprints of Steven working with George when Star Wars was being created, and as well as it was going. George was always going to Spielberg for things and tips and tricks.
Schindler's List.
The list goes on. Jaws,
No Jaws. Don't talk about Jaws in my presence.
But the dude crafted what I thought a movie should be, and one of my reviewers that I like to watch, John Campia, he when he and his wife saw West Side Story, I think she kind of put it the best of, you think you see cinema and then you see a Spielberg movie. Because oh my God, just when you think after West Side Story being such a phenomenal movie that was last year, of him doing a musical, him going into his own life finally, is something I never really thought I would really need, but always felt like I knew I needed. And it is such a phenomenal movie. I really did enjoy this movie. Originally on my first viewing, I was not, I thought it left a little bit to be desired, but after my second time through, I really did fall in love with this movie.
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much nailed everything. I just have to say, I gotta give Spielberg props for always doing something new with every single film he has done.
Oh yeah.
You mentioned a lot of that stuff, but a lot of people don't talk about, Lincoln.
Yeah.
You have Bridge of Spies, The Post, Saving Private Ryan, The Terminal, and I'm just thinking, Mr. Spielberg, what goes in that creative mind of yours is just near perfection. And there's so many other projects that he wants to do. He's a big time gamer too. He's just always feeding stories. And he goes and sees films like he's kind of like us. He sees film. He sees films. So I think I read an article that he tries to see 2 or 3 films a week.
Yeah.
Almost kind of like an AMC A-lister.
Just kind of like us.
Yeah. But yeah, you nailed it. I really enjoyed this film a lot. I feel like a lot of directors need to make more films like these. Like I would love to see Martin Scorsese do a semi-autobiographical film about why he tried to get into filmmaking.
Yeah.
That would be really, really neat. I would love to see something like that.
Well, and I feel like this is his way because he's aware of his age. He knows he's getting up there, and he knows that he might not have a lot of time left to make films with us for very much longer. Who knows when that will be, and that will be a sad day when we find out what the final Spielberg movie will be, whether it's by retirement or by unfortunate circumstances. But the one thing that I do have to say is I feel like this was his message of, for all that want to know
how it started,
and for all that want to know what I think you should know if you ever want to go into filmmaking, see this movie.
Yes,
kind
I
of
agree.
a thing. Like, if you want my tips, if you want to like truly like study me and you want my insight, watch this movie. Kind of a thing.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about the cast. The first is Gabriel Labelle as Sammy Fabelman, and he was like a mini Steven.
A little bit.
Obviously, that's what he was.
Yeah, he's the stand-in.
But I really, there were some scenes where he was becoming this aspiring filmmaker, and I'm just like, that is total Steven.
Total Spielberg.
Like, because I watched an HBO documentary on Spielberg, and the way that Gabriel talks in these scenes and the way Steven talked in the documentary, I'm like, that is total Steven Spielberg. And he nailed it, dude. Like, especially for somebody at a young age portraying probably one of the best, if not the best directors ever, speaks wonders for this kid's talent.
Oh yeah. Well, and Spielberg always really does well with kids.
Yes,
I always
he does.
feel he really has, because I feel like one of the best things about Spielberg is that
we kept forgetting
like
about E.T.
Well, yeah, E.T.
Yeah.
E.T.'s trauma, but wonderful. He feels like he's a kid at heart.
Yes.
So he really does know how to get the best performances out of kids. But don't get me wrong, like you have actors that he works so well with like Liam Neeson, Robin Williams,
Daniel
Day-Lewis. He just invokes this really wonderful thing out of actors, and it comes across with Gabriel's performance. Gabriel does such a wonderful job in this film. Is it Oscar worthy? I don't know if I would say that, but it's really wonderful. Gabriel does such a wonderful job of plotting and going through all of this character's emotions. And there's a lot that this character goes through in a very short amount of time. So it's really amazing to kind of see his actor brain works and see what Spielberg is doing with his direction with the character.
But next one is Michelle Williams as Mitzi Fabelman, and this had some heartstrings tugging. Like it had, and this is not her performance for somebody with high anxiety as myself. It was giving me like almost a near panic attack with the way that she was portraying the character, and I'm just like, like it could get a little hectic at times. Like, what would you say, Zach?
Yeah, Michelle Williams is always a win.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's truly amazing what this woman does. Whenever she graces our screens, I'm always so enraptured by her. She's amazing in Greatest Showman. She's she's amazing in this. Her best performance still to me is still from Fosse, the FX limited series, when she plays when she does play Gwen Verdon. Oh, best performance I've ever seen an actress do is her performance of Gwen Verdon. But she does a really phenomenal job here. It's still wonderful. She's I'm not gonna lie, the wig kind of threw me off every now and again, but never detracted. Still a phenomenal performance, hands down.
But I got to give a lot of props to Paul Dano as Bert Fabelman.
Going from the Riddler to this,
he played such a believable Jewish dad.
Yeah,
it was so cool.
And the really great thing about this is that you could have gone into this as such. Because he's such a mathematician in this one, and he appreciates art, but appreciates it as a hobby and not a real job.
Yes.
So it's really interesting because you could so easily go into the mindset of, how dare you? You need to be real. You need to get a real. He goes into it the understanding that both Mitzi and Sammy
need film,
need art in ways that he needs numbers and algebra and all these things and science. He understands that. He's frustrated that he can't understand it and feel it as they do, but he has that respect for them. And it's played so lovingly, which is kind of the tragedy of this character.
Yeah, it's
so.
Very,
but
it's
what
sad.
did you think about this entire thing?
I feel like, because I remember in the documentary, Spielberg, he said his parents, obviously, some stuff happened, but Spielberg's dad was supportive, but he also let him know, like, hey, this may not be a good job for you. Yeah. And I think Paul Dano played that to a T, and there was some touching moments between him and Sammy, and I'm just like, I wish I had that father-son relationship that these two had, even though they didn't agree on a lot. Yeah, they still had that trust, like, hey, I can still go to you for with issues that I'm having, and I can go to you to talk about my hobby, and you can tell me about your job, because we both know that one thing is important in your mind and the other is important in mine. Yeah. So I just really appreciated Paul Dano's performance in that one. All right. But the next non-spoilerly thing after the cast is we're going to talk about the family art balance.
Yeah. So it's a really good transition from talking about Paul Dano
being a numbers guy.
So a big theme in this entire film that Spielberg tries to go, and we'll kind of get a little bit more into the spoilery section of this specific topic when we get into our spoiler section, specifically with one cameo that we do have here in this movie. But the fact that family and art is so important to Sammy that they both are huge parts of his persona and his being, but his heart lies
with art.
His heart and mind is always going to turn to art. That's how he figures out the world. That's how he's able to process things, is through his art of filmmaking. And parts of his family support that and bring that through and really encourage that. And it's the same thing with his mom of she really enjoys her art and whatnot, but
through piano.
But again, her art goes over family again. And similar how Paul Dano, he works so much and overworks and continually moves with his job, where his art goes over family. So it's really a very continuous pull away that is really well done and is such a powerful theme that I really enjoyed that they really explored.
Well, and it also segues into John Williams' score, because he had that theme of family over art literally throughout the entire film. And what else can't be said? John Williams and Steven Spielberg at it again.
And this actually is probably going to be their last collaboration.
I think it is.
This is his second. This is, according to John Williams, this is his second to last film. John Williams said that he made the exception because Indiana Jones was going to be his last one, but when Spielberg said that he was doing this movie,
he had to do it.
He felt like I got to do this for Steven. So it's really. And you kind of just feel it in the score.
Yeah.
I feel like this was written for a friend with really love, really care in the way that John Williams does. Admittedly, there weren't a lot of themes that I could probably pick out. It wasn't as iconic as a normal John Williams score.
No.
But you still feel the love.
John Williams. Yeah.
The John Williams love of the score. It compared to like a Rise of Skywalker where you really couldn't feel anything. It really could have been anyone that wrote that score.
Oh, absolutely.
You know? But yeah, that kind of wraps up our non-spoiler section. So is it okay if I break down our review?
By all means.
Absolutely. So for our new friends, we split our reviews into 3 sections as well. Our bottom section is Feed It to the Dog, which we didn't really enjoy the film, but we think that you should still see it to form your own opinion and form your own merits. Our next category is Cook a Little More, where we feel like the movie was okay, but it needed a little seasoning, a script change, an actor change, a director change, just to kind of kick it up into this next category, which is Eat It Up, which we really enjoyed the film. We highly encourage you to see it in theaters if you can, but if you can't, rent it, stream it, do what you can in order to see the film.
Yeah. All right. So since you explained it, would you like me to review first?
Yeah, I would really love to hear. Mitch, what was your opinion on The Fabelmans?
So I think this is one of Spielberg's best in the past decade.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's one of his classics.
Yeah, I would agree.
I'm going to put this on an Eat It Up, but it's in like the high to middle class of Eat It Up. It's because a lot of his recent stuff, like Ready Player One,
it wasn't it had some things, but it wasn't the best.
Yeah, but it's I think it's better than West Side Story.
Oh, I liked West Side Story better.
And that's fine.
Yep.
Yeah. I still love West Side Story.
Yeah, I'm not saying you don't.
But this film, I feel like it's better and it had a little bit more heart to it.
Yeah.
But I think it's because it was a Spielberg passion project for me.
That's fair.
So I'm going to put this on the high end of Eat It Up.
Oh, 100%. I completely agree.
You're going to agree?
This is an Eat It Up for sure.
Very nice.
It really does a good job. You can feel his passion. You can feel everybody really wanted to kind of help Spielberg tell this story.
Oh,
you feel it in everybody's performances. You feel it in everyone's help. Editing's on par. Cinematography's on par. Is all Spielberg productions normally are on that side. This was excellent. I really genuinely enjoyed this film.
Yeah. Okay, my friends. So before we sound an alarm, thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to leave us a like, send a comment. Don't forget to subscribe. But if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or if you want to collaborate, email us at elpodcastmz@gmail.com. But now, let's sound that alarm.
Dun 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 dun. It's a Spielberg film.
It's a Spielberg film. Da, 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 da.
The trailer came out today. I'm so excited.
It did.
But yep, we are officially in our spoiler section, my friends.
Right.
So once again, if you do not wish to be spoiled on The Fabelmans,
goodbye.
Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you. We love you. But we are officially in our spoiler section. So we got 2 things that we definitely want to hit, which is we're going to kind of switch it up a little bit. I want to talk about Judd Hirsch's performance.
Yes.
So I don't think I even saw him in the trailers.
He wasn't in the trailer.
I was really caught off guard when Judd Hirsch showed up because I was like, oh.
Yeah. Because he played a very famous director.
No.
Yes.
Judd Hirsch is the uncle.
The uncle.
The uncle.
Who are you talking about?
The uncle that comes in that Mitzi was like, oh no, mom said that
that was him?
That's
For some
Judd
reason
Hirsch.
I thought you were talking about Judd Hirsch. Okay, so
but we can talk about him too.
Yeah. But
Judd
nice.
Hirsch's performance on here is really freaking good.
Yeah, it was really
like
neat. Yeah. I know who you're
holy
talking about
crud! Like when you talk about like when we were talking about like that family versus art, he like Judge Hirsch's character, he joined the circus, he kind of abandoned his family, and is the epitome of and almost kind of like the warning sign of like if you go too far into your art, this is who you're gonna become.
Right.
And it's scary. It's great. It's lived
true.
in. It's true. And it's so good. You genuinely feel the Judd Hirschness of it.
Yeah.
But also just like, it's almost like the Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come.
Yeah.
Like, ism of it. It's almost like the rackety bit of Spielberg that's like, you know, I made some mistakes with some of my decisions. Like, don't go as far as you could.
Yeah.
So what did you think of Judd Hirsch's
It was fine. It was fine. I didn't really know who he was.
Oh,
yeah, that's probably why I didn't have a clue who you were talking about. But I know who the character you're talking about.
Yeah.
But I gotta talk about this next one, the final corrective shot that because he meets a famous director. Sammy does. Who's the director? I can't think of
I'm blanking on the name.
I am too.
But the allegory is that when Steven Spielberg was young, he
does meet somebody famous.
He does meet a very, very famous director. I believe that he's always kept it close as to who he actually did meet.
Right.
But he said it's someone that he grew up on their films. He, I believe he said that he's seen like every single one of his favorite directors' films and was always studying them when he was younger.
The meeting goes as this, like he tells them to go to a painting and kept asking, describe it to him.
Yeah.
Describes it. No, where's the horizon? The horizon's at the bottom. Go to that painting. Where's the horizon? It's at the top.
Yeah.
Where's the horizon there?
It's in the middle.
It's in the middle. Middle is boring. Top, interesting. Bottom, interesting. So he leaves, and there's a shot where the horizon's in the middle.
And it's Sammy just kind of skipping down the lot, and then all of a sudden it course corrects, and it goes up so that the horizon's at the bottom.
And it was really neat, like because it's Spielberg saying like, I learned my lesson. Here it is, and it's like a kind of like an ending joke, if you will, like, oh yeah, I want this shot to be interesting. Yeah, it was neat.
And it's so cheeky. It's so Spielbergy. But it's a really kind of cool way to be like, that's where the mythic Steven Spielberg started, was right coming out of that meeting right there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So I just thought that was such a wonderful way to kind of cap the story.
I agree.
And a really kind of, I feel like that was also the whole horizon lesson, since that's what his idol told him. I felt like that was the thing that he really wanted to pass on to future filmmakers, is thinking about something as basic as the horizon. You got to think about the small things and your shot compositions. So start with the horizon.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's the Fabelmans, my friends. Thank you so much for joining us. Once again, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, give us a comment, or if you have any other questions, comments, concerns, or want to collaborate, email us at elpodcastmz@gmail.com. But until next time,
I'm Zach.
I'm Mitch,
And we are
an excellent little podcast.